Welcome to this short introductory video on the Leadership Effectiveness Profile, a competency assessment from Profiles Are Us and ReadyToManage. An online competency assessment focuses on a specific set of skills or competencies. It's a self-assessment of those skills, and it can be taken as a 180 or a 360 in addition to a self-assessment for richer information. So why use a competency assessment? Well, the first reason is really to help an individual or learner raise their awareness about what it takes to be successful in that particular competency area, such as leadership or management or conflict resolution. Second is to get them beginning to identify gaps in their preparation or in their skill levels. And third, by raising their awareness and beginning to identify gaps, the learner's engagement with the topic has already begun, and they're much more prepared to begin learning, to begin looking at ways in which they can fill those gaps, and at really understanding what it's going to take to be successful around that competency, such as leadership or management or conflict. So given that we're using assessments to raise awareness, to identify gaps, and to build engagement, there are a couple of contexts in which we find them to be particularly useful. First, of course, is pre-workshop preparation. Second is individual or group development planning. And third is in the context of coaching and mentoring sessions. We should also note that a 180 or a 360-degree assessment can be used in the context of an evaluation pretty successfully as well. So now that we've taken a look at competency assessments in general, let's take a look specifically at the Leadership Effectiveness Profile. The LEP is a competency assessment, and it covers 8 core leadership dimensions, and they're those dimensions which are most closely associated with success in a leadership role. So here are the 8 dimensions that are measured in the LEP. They begin with emotional intelligence, which is our capacity to recognize, understand, and harness our own feelings and the feelings of others. Next is contextual thinking, which is how well the individual links specific events, tasks, and actions in a wider perspective or pattern. Next is directional clarity, which is the ability to identify a credible destination and indicate how to get there in a clear and simple way. Next is creative assimilation. How well does the individual creatively draw together disparate information to arrive at robust and clear decisions or courses of action? Next is change orchestration. How well does the individual anticipate and plan for future change and manage themselves and others well to handle it? Next is people enablement, which is the extent to which an individual trusts, coaches, and guides people to influence and control their own destiny through their own efforts. Next is reciprocal communication. This is the extent to which an individual communicates with economy and clarity and remains open to feedback. And finally, we have driving persistence. This is the extent to which the individual tenaciously stays on track and maintains a persistent focus on their goal. Each person who takes these online competency assessments is provided with a personalized report of results at the conclusion of the assessment. The report is a PDF downloadable, and it includes a variety of information about each dimension on the assessment, including the highest and lowest scoring areas so that a participant or learner can immediately see those areas in which they have the greatest strengths and those areas in which they might want to target for development. And of course, at the conclusion of the report, there's a development plan template to begin the planning process. There are 3 easy steps to taking one of our competency assessments. The first is setup. Make a purchase in our web store, and we'll set you up with a user ID and password within 24 hours of your purchase. Second, you'll log in at our learner portal using that user ID and password. The system may give you some options, such as taking the long or short form of an assessment, but just follow along with whatever options are relevant to the assessment that you're taking. Third, you'll complete the self-assessment questionnaire online and download your personalized PDF report of results. We should note there are a few more steps in the setup process if you're taking a 180 or 360-degree assessment, but we'll provide those at the time of purchase. You might want to consider a couple of ways in which we can help you out if you decide to take one of these assessments. First is consider having us conduct a personal debrief for you. It's one of the options in the web store for each of our competency assessments. Second is you could purchase an optional facilitator guide which provides you with the information necessary to run a workshop on the results of the assessment. Or finally, we could set up an entire cohort to take an assessment as a group if that's part of your current training initiative. Thanks for checking out the Leadership Effectiveness Profile. And before we go, we just wanted to note we do have a whole catalog of additional profiles available from Profiles R Us in our web store. We have competency assessments like the LEP. We have style assessments, situational assessments, and type or MBTI Jungian style assessments. All available for you to take a look at in the web store. Thanks again for stopping by.